I've said it before and I'll say it sometime in the future. In order to fight the war on terror, you must understand that there is no freedom in liberty, and giving up your privacy is, it's legal when I say it is. Yeah, that's it. And anyone that complains is, not for America. Yeah.
And you'll notice that I'm not wearing a tie, and I want you to know that I'm okay with that. Thank you. No tie. It is warm out, and I'm feeling summery and breezy, and I'm feeling, Caribbean. I'm being Caribbean, or is it Caribbean? Is it Caribbean or Caribbean?
All that really matters is the best drug there is sun vitamin D.
Yay! Sun vitamin D! Yay! So the next what?
Tangent alert! Let's let him get on with the conversation.
Drugs. Some drugs are probably okay, and other drugs are probably not. But I'm not going to say which. That way you'll be guessing. Yeah.
Daddy, can I have some coffee?
No coffee for you. I'm cutting you off. Well, no, actually.
Another cup of coffee?
Actually, I'll give you reduced coffee until tomorrow or something. I don't know. Anyway, okay. Mental Health News is a show produced by me and our wonderful sock puppets. And I'm not a doctor, and neither are they, and we're not dentists or lawyers or anything like that. This is not medical advice. It's news. Exciting.
She's a high case, though.
Yeah, well, maybe kind of little. Yeah. Okay, first news bullet. There is yet another proposal to shield Big Pharma from accountability, responsibility, or any glimmer of ethics from death.
What's ethics? There's no such thing as ethics. We can just do whatever we goddamn well please.
Yeah. Okay, the Big Pharma is shielded from side effects of their medication that cause death or disability or sickness. This is the flu pandemic. Okay, remember all this talk about the bird flu? And how the bird flu is going to come and kill everyone, and everyone's all afraid of the bird flu, and it's going to be the next big pandemic, and everyone should run right out and buy Tamiflu. Okay, Donald Rumsfeld is a partner who has tons of stock in a little company in California that owns the patent for Tamiflu, and they have the manufacturer licensed in France that makes Tamiflu. And so every time a pill of Tamiflu sells, he gets a tiny little piece of money.
Can I have some money too?
Only if you have
Wait a minute,
inappropriate.
We don't like the French. How come Rumsfeld likes the French?
If we really don't like the French, we should return the Statue of Liberty to them.
Oh.
Yeah, they gave that to us, by the way, Mr. Freedom Fry. Yeah, by the way, they gave it to us at the turn of the century, and it had to do with Ellis Island and America's welcoming immigrants and blah, 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 blah. It was a gift.
Was it the Indians too?
Tangent.
Yeah, totally tangent. Okay, thank you.
Oh, shut up.
Conservative members of Congress fit snugly in the deep donating pockets of the drug companies, the NRA, which is the National Republican Association, polluters, and other corporate cultural terrorists. Cultural terrorists.
Define terrorist.
And terrorists there is no actual definition, by the way. There's no actual definition of terrorist. And rightly so, because that way we can use it indiscriminately
Cookie?
without, thank you. Thank you.
That's poison.
Just don't get it in my water.
That's poison.
They're cookies. Cookies aren't poison.
Can't you know that?
Cookies are delicious.
Get on with the show.
Okay.
Poison.
Okay. Republican Senate Majority Leader Bill Frist, a.k.a. the Diagnosticator.
Ooh, it sounds painful. Why is that?
Well, he was the one that diagnosed Maria Shriver on the floor of Congress. And he said, I saw a video of her, and she's okay.
Oh, those evil people tried to kill her.
Wait a minute.
Well,
Is he a
actually, no.
doctor?
Yes, he is actually. He's
Didn't
a doctor,
they
but
save her from murderers?
he hasn't practiced medicine in like decades.
I listened to Fox News that they saved her from murderers.
No, just feeding tube removers. And when they did the autopsy on her, she had mush for brains, literally. That what was left had shrunk to a
But
little
we
bit,
have
and there
mush
was-
for brains. Does that mean you need to kill us too?
Actually, no, you have phalanges for brains. Carpals and metacarpals and phalanges. Yeah, that's what you have for brains. And they're very good, by the way, and so don't hurt them. Okay, so the diagnosticator from Tennessee pushed for passage of legislation tacked on to the must-pass defense spending bill and has never been debated or voted on either in the House or the Senate.
Wait a minute. Defense spending bill. You went from drugs to bombs. I'm
Well,
confused.
what they do is they have an absolutely must-pass bill. It's like money for the troops, it's money for, you know, paying all the federal employees and all that kind of crap, and then they load it full of crap on the end. You know, pork. They had pork on the end. And if you say no to that bill, if you're saying no to the pork,
Then you're a terrorist.
yeah, that's what they're saying.
Ah.
They say anyone who doesn't side with us is evil and terrorist and all that crap.
They are terrorists.
Okay, but it's standard Republican
Kill
operating
them all!
procedure. Well, don't kill anyone.
Burn the witch.
No, don't kill. Don't burn. Be nice.
Eagle, burn the witch.
No, don't burn the witch. Witches are good, actually.
No, first there's a witch.
You've heard of the Good Witch of the North?
No.
That would be from a blue state.
Ow.
Big Pharma was essentially, Big Pharma will essentially make some kind of really crappy medication, then the government will buy it for dump truck loads of cash, then make us pay for it, and when we find out it will give us permanent ass warts,
Ass warts?
we would, well, we won't be able to sue the bastards that
Ass
knew
warts?
that it would do this in the first place. You know,
Ass warts?
yeah, the ass wart
Ass
thing.
warts?
Yeah,
Whoopsie.
oopsie. Yeah, the ass
Ooh,
wart thing.
dingy sounds.
What it is?
So
is,
wait a minute. Tell me a little bit about this. I'm a little confused. So, if I'm in the military and I go out and I get ass warts because some dopey taxpayer pays for something,
We don't
Yeah.
get ass warts,
You
you
might-
ass.
But speak for yourself.
hypothetically,
We don't have an ass.
Hypothetically,
Who cares about that?
hypothetically,
Hypothetically.
if I get ass warts or
You
something
won't
else,
get
because-
ass warts.
Oh,
You
just
don't have
quit,
an ass.
quit
Shut up.
badgering me. Listen. If I get a problem, you know, drugs, whatever it is, maybe I take a pill to prevent, I don't know, some major...
Ass warts.
Ass warts. There we go. Ass warts, much better.
Yeah.
But either way,
Daddy can get
the
ass warts, but you
pharmaceutical
can't.
company is not
Do
responsible.
you have ass warts?
Only on Tuesdays.
Talk to me. I want the answer. If I go in the military and my government shoves something up me
Sock
and it
puppet
gives me
military.
answer. Okay.
Yeah.
And if I have problems with my sock,
Right.
then I can't sue the pharmaceutical
Correct.
company,
Correct.
even if they knew.
Yeah. Yeah, basically these laws block these big companies that make medications to protect the troops or protect the populace, and they are they're given blanket immunity, basically is what it's called. It's called blanket immunity, meaning if their medication that they're making to protect the troops or protect this or whatever, if it causes ass warts or you know, you lose the function of your legs or you die.
Is this just during war? Is this like all the time?
All the time.
All the time.
Especially during war, and especially recently since Junior's been in charge. It's been particularly bad.
Is that because when you're in the military you don't own yourself? You're just like, you know,
Property.
property.
They own your ass.
property.
and the
property,
warts on
property, property.
Your property.
Yeah.
Technically, yes, because I'm a sock.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
can a sock own a human?
You stink too.
Well,
It
so what's your point?
Smell like foot.
What's your point? I like feet. My master's feet.
Yeah.
It's a fetish. Some people have sock fetish. I have foot fetish. Sock fetish, foot fetish.
Yeah, I have.
Okay, on with the program.
I have a sock puppet fetish too. Sexy. Sexy.
Twisted.
Okay, yeah, very. Story problem number 68. The Fox News Channel highlights several key issues that highlight conservative sentiment. Okay, remember that. Each has a quotient value that elicits fear, guilt, greed, and or hate. So that's conservative sentiment. Calculate the combined emotional impact points for each issue. Okay. So basically emotional impact. Okay, then calculate the bullshit factor for each emotional impact point. Okay, the bullshit factor is equal to the points, the regular emotional quotient points, multiplied by 5. Okay, so whatever points it has for emotional content, multiply that by 5, and that's how much bullshit it is. Okay, what is common among this list? So think about that as I read them off. Okay, what do the statements influence the most and why? The tax burden and how it hurts the wealthy. Fear factor of 20, guilt factor of 10, greed factor of 60, hate factor of 10, and love factor of 0. Gay marriage and how it interferes with your marriage. That has a fear factor of 40, guilt factor of 30, greed factor of 5, hate factor of 20, and a love factor of 5 only. Okay, street crime and other lower class vandalisms. That has a fear factor of 50, guilt factor of 5, greed 5, hate 40, love 0 again. The latest missing blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl. Yeah, Fox has many of them. Fear factor 30, guilt 30, greed 5, hate 30, 5 again. 30. Okay, creative design and its non-science significance. Fear factor of 20, guilt 50, greed 10, hate 10, love 10. Capital punishment. Fear factor 10, guilt 10, greed 0, hate 80, love 0. Forced birth. That's what it is. It's called forced birth. They call it something else, but really it's forced birth. Fear factor 10, guilt 20, greed 10, hate 60, love 0. The illegal immigrant guest worker plan. Fear factor 10, guilt factor of 0, greed 80, hate 10, love, once again, 0. Okay, this one is from Public Citizen, and it's an article from April 25, and also JAMA, which is the Journal of American Medical Association. And JAMA is really interesting. JAMA is, there's 2 or 3 publications that are put out, medical publications, and Lancet is a British one and JAMA is an American one, and these are really hardcore against crap, having crap studies and crap. They have
Who pays their bills?
rigorous standards.
What do they work for?
What are they talking about?
Advertisers and
The
doctors
crap, is it
and
the-
corporate sponsors, I'm sure.
They're against the consistency of crap, or just the...
No, they don't allow crap in there to be published. Anything that's published in JAMA or Lancet in particular.
How do you publish crap? Can you write things with crap? I mean, it's kind of inconsistent. You take it, you smear it, it's got a brown, it's got a color, but it doesn't stay.
Yeah, well, if 3 doctors get together and they do a study and blah, 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 and there's no backup and there's no research and there's none of this, and they write a paper concerning the study, it wouldn't go in JAMA and it wouldn't go in Lancet. Because they like, you know what? You guys are full of crap.
Because you're thing.
Yeah, stuff that goes in these magazines, they're very, very rigorous in weeding out stuff that is,
and it's crap.
not legitimate.
Okay.
So they're reputable,
Okay,
which is nice.
good. We like them.
Okay. Yeah, actually they're pretty good. Pretty good. Sometimes they fail, but so do I. So, the PC study, politically correct study, details financial conflicts of interest, or conflicts of interest, between drug advisory committee members and big pharma drugs they evaluated. The study exposes a link between the money and favorable votes for certain big pharma drugs. The Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, or CDER, at the FDA relies on advice from non-members and FDA-invited voting consultants. So the FDA evaluates hundreds of medications that come out per year, okay? Hundreds of medications, and what they have is they have different expert panels on different kinds of medications. One panel might be heart medication, another panel might be psychiatric drugs, and another panel might be diabetes, another one might be this or that, and so they will pay these consultants to evaluate different drugs, and they will pay these guys, I don't know how much, some money, and
Can I get paid to evaluate drugs?
if you're a doctor,
You know,
Money.
I've been
Would I be
thinking,
a doctor?
I've made some
You
really
go to
cool
school.
things to nick your butthole shut. I want you to evaluate
Money.
that. Here's some smackaroonies. Go for it.
Eat money, consume money. Money good. Consume
So, I've given you 10 smackaroonies. How's those drugs?
it. Well,
Are those good drugs? I've given you money.
yeah.
Tell me.
Money from drugs is good. Sure.
So, I've given you the money. What do I get in return?
You get a warm feeling inside.
A warm feeling?
Actually,
money back.
you get
And my money back.
You get
No!
Piss off!
you get political.
I
you
go
get
to the
political
salon and
political
get my
political
hair done.
capital. Yeah, political capital.
Okay. So,
Okay,
what,
so
what
where
next?
was I?
What next?
Oh yes. Blah 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 blah. In September 2001, Public Citizen threatened to sue to force one of these committees, and the FDA to disclose conflict of interest of committee members. The FDA caved and required more money conflict of interest disclosure publicly at the beginning of certain drug consideration meetings.
The reason you should vote Republican is so that the government won't get involved in this sort of thing.
Well, it used to be that way. Old-time Republicans, old-style Republicans were about
always
small
would.
government.
Straight ticket Republican.
You did? Well,
Yes.
I'm sorry. Did you take a pill and it go away?
No, I just think that the government bad.
The study looked at disclosed conflicts using posted info, agendas, and transcripts from FDA meetings from, that's so funny, 2001 to 2004. Result, 28% of them had a conflict. Okay, that's about a third had a conflict that they disclosed voluntarily. One had a conflict in 73% of the meetings, and there was 1% recusal rate. Okay, do you know what recusal means, boys and girls, kiddies?
He said
Puppet?
accusing.
Recusal. If I'm sitting at a meeting and I recuse myself from voting,
Is it reaccusing you?
no, I step back. I said I have a conflict of interest. I shall refuse to.
I think what he's
Make
getting at is
decisions.
somebody had a conscience, 1% of the conscience.
Yeah,
Or something. Something was left in their head that they
Yeah.
said, hey, I got paid up the wazoo.
yeah.
I can't do this because Big Pharma said, here's $10. We saw the $10. Here we go.
Yep.
Here's $10.
Our
You make a decision right there. And you know what? You've got to recuse yourself
Yeah, what he said.
right now.
Yeah.
You
So-
just think you're so smart, don't you? Well, you're
Unfortunately-
not.
Pretty
You're
Prove
just
it.
a sock puppet.
Unfortunately, the data was limited to self-reported conflicts, which means the reporting honesty is inversely proportional to the greenbacks.
Explain that one, huh?
Okay, the amount of money you get is inversely proportional to your honesty.
So the more you pay me,
The less honest you are. Yes.
Ah.
Or potentially. So
potentially.
yeah, something.
Let
along
me
those
think
lines.
about it. So
Okay.
if I pay a lot of money and go to college as a sock puppet, then I'm more likely to be a lying, cheating,
Bastards.
no good. You said the B word.
Bastard.
Buffoon.
You can say bastard on TV. They say it on like TV all the time. So
Okay.
they can say it. I can say bastard.
Master.
You don't know anything.
Merle?
Hey, tangent.
Okay. The study found that 19%, thank you, by the way. The study found that 19% of consulting terms were equal to or greater than $10,000, 30% of investments were equal to or greater than $25,000, and 23% of contracts or grants from these pharmaceutical companies were equal to or greater than $100,000. Meaning, a consultant dude would come in, right, and he would be a voting member on one of these committees, and the pharmaceutical company that has their medication under review by this dude would fly him in, pay for his hotel, pay for his family and friends or whatever. They pay all of his expenses and you know, maybe
Buy new
give him
socks for him.
season
Socks.
tickets to the ball game or something.
Is this the doctor?
Yeah, consultant. the consultant, and typically they're doctors.
So a doctor can be a consultant. Can I be a consultant?
I imagine pharmacists are also consultants
Nice
as well,
job.
because they have a doctorate in pharmacology. So
I need a new job. Maybe I can be a doctor. A consultant.
I want to be a diagnosticator.
A diagnosticator.
Yes. Yes, I saw a video of someone and I declare them well.
Okay.
And yeah, you only need a degree in stupid for that one. Every voting member with a conflict of any type, index drug or competitor drug, there was a 10% greater likelihood that the meeting would favor the drug being considered. The study authors compared conflict standards to advisory committees with those applied to juries. And guess what they found?
So if I took one of these drugs, could I turn into a human?
No. No, you would be a puppet on drugs.
A puppet on drugs?
Yeah, you see the frying pan, they put the egg in and they say, this is your brain, this is your brain on drugs.
Metatarsals.
Well,
Would she get
they would
smarter if she's taking drugs? Because, she can't go down anymore.
You just think you're so smart. Well, you're not. So piss off.
Yeah.
Okay. It's hard to when you're a sock, you got no parts, but you know what's inside the end of the, smelly
Well,
part.
sock puppets happen to have a hand up their wazoo, up their hoo-ha.
What's a hoo-ha?
A
Show
hoo-ha
me.
is an opening in the back end, the rear entry. Yes, the rear exit, so to speak.
There?
So-
The back door.
If 10% of sock puppets have no hoo-ha, they can't receive enough money to develop enough conscience to realize that they're a jaded person.
Well, basically, you can't be a sock puppet unless you have a hoo-ha in the back for the large hand to be
Forced
up in
entry.
there. Yes, that's right. Yes.
I don't have a hand. Yes, you do. No, I don't. Yes, you do. See? Ah! Naked!
Oh no! A sock puppet has been flayed alive on live TV! Oh!
Not good!
No, very bad. I'm going to eat a cracker and think about that.
So then I'm gonna read.
Okay. Story problem number 69. That's right. If you're an elected commissioner responsible for land use and you want to upgrade a piece of property, various federal, state, and county laws say that an ecological impact study must be done before the backhoes come out. Okay, that's the rules. How do you avoid an ecological impact study through parceling? Okay, pay attention, kiddies. A, repeat that the sum of the parts does not equal the whole. B, bully, chide, browbeat, and deride opponents. C, get your lawyer to say the sum of the parts does not indeed equal the whole. D, decide, implement, fund, and act in secret. Yes. E, become hard of hearing when asked tough questions. What? What? Never mind. F, state flatly that what you are doing is not what you are in fact doing. Then act like your opponents have a grudge thing going. Or something.
Federal grant over 5 years. What is
Okay.
a mental health transformation grant?
Okay.
Talk to me.
Okay, what is the mental health transformation grant? Okay, there were 8 states that were awarded a big chunk of money over a period of 5 years, millions and millions of dollars. Okay, our state was one of them, and it's called the Transformation Grant. It's a special grant given to states. I don't know why Washington was given one, but the idea is that the state would look at the overall mental health system, and they would look at what works, best practices, how things are done efficiently, and it would study all that over a period of 5 years. Then each state would give off a report and say, here's the things that work the best, here's the things that are most efficient. Okay? And
Is that why they canned all the mental health departments in all these private hospitals? Oh.
not necessarily. They've been cutting funds steadily to mental health over every year. There's a little bit less money for mental health every single year. Thank you, George. Anyway, what happens is, what they want to do is they want to give less money to the states for mental health. And what you do is you look at what is most efficient and you tell all the states to operate under that efficiency. And if a state is operating more efficiently, they need less money, right?
My butt.
What it means is
I say we kill all the bureaucrats.
instead of paying doctors, you pay physicians.
It's
assistants.
exceedingly violent.
Yeah. Instead of psychologists, you pay nurse practitioners. Instead of case managers, you have teletherapy.
Ooh.
What the?
Instead of teletherapy, it's where instead of therapy, you call someone up the phone. I'm depressed.
Hello? Hello, I've swallowed my phone.
I'm
I'm
depressed.
depressed. Can you help me?
I'm really depressed. And you call someone up and they say, take a warm bath, go for a walk, have some hot tea, drink some warm milk, and take 2 aspirins, call me in the morning, and double up on your medication. Okay.
Bill my company.
Yeah.
My insurance.
Something like that. And so what it is they try and issue mental health on the cheap. They find just cheaper ways of doing things, and they just,
Is
instead
that
of
because crazy people don't vote?
generally
I thought
no.
we just kill all the
People
crazy
with mental
people.
illnesses generally don't vote.
Just
Sadly.
kill them.
Their
Put
families
them
do,
in concentration camps.
but people with mental illnesses are generally disempowered and they don't feel like they have any choice in what they're doing. So voting is just problematic. And a lot of people with mental illnesses have ended up in jail for doing something stupid.
Like what?
It's their fault.
Walking down the middle of the street and flagging down traffic and telling them the end is near.
Blame
That'll
them.
get you in jail. I knew someone that did that. She was not doing very well. She was walking in the middle of the street. She was saying, the end is near, the end is near. And,
It was her fault, though.
The police helped her discover what a taser was like.
Yes. Good. They should have tased her.
And then she discovered the wonderful solitude of the quiet room.
Ooh.
So,
You put me in the quiet room all the time.
That's the top drawer.
yeah, actually. Okay.
And you don't even match me.
Well,
You lost my...
think of it this way.
Match.
Think of it this way.
Shut up.
You're one of a kind. Don't spill my water, please. It's all my water.
Focus on a different area each of the 5 years.
Yeah. Different area each 5 years, and each year they give a different report. Now, generally...
You don't even fold me.
Huh? That's because you look better crumpled.
Proper...
You look better crumpled and disheveled. You're just more freer.
Soft puppet abuse.
And stuff.
Quit giving her psychotherapy.
Okay. Yeah, psychotherapy.
Psychotherapy.
You get psycho?
Psycho.
Psychotherapy.
Psycho.
I'm a psychotherapist.
Psychotherapist says,
Yeah. Okay. Non-stick and your brain.
non-stick.
Okay. Once upon a time, a
No skid mark,
French
non-stick.
company invented a non-stick formula, and they applied it to metal, and you could fry things on it. And it wouldn't
Teflon,
stick.
right?
Yes, Teflon.
Is that a bad word?
Well,
Teflon?
not necessarily, but when their patent ran out, everybody started doing Teflon. And
Okay.
people paid for the rights of creating Teflon. And now there's like a dozen or 2 dozen different formulations of Teflon and coatings that they apply to it so it doesn't flake off and break off so quickly.
If I had underwear, I'd have Teflon underwear.
That would be fun. You'd be sliding all over, your pants wouldn't stay up, you'd like climb into bed and you'd go, woo, and you'd fly up the bed.
So, is Teflon a drug?
No, but I'll explain the connection to mental health in one moment. Teflon is a chlorofluorocarbon, okay? You know the bad thing in ozone, you know that bad thing? It's a chlorofluorocarbon. But because it's a solid and it's manufactured as a solid, they don't really regulate it so much. However, if you take a Teflon pan and you heat it up to 551 degrees, the Teflon evaporates into the air.
How hot does your stove get to?
Oh, high? Oh, 600.
Ooh.
Easily. And you'll see, you can stick a Teflon pan and stick it on high, and you'll see the steamy steamy, smoky stuff come off of it, even when it's not cooking.
Is that what happened to my eyes?
Well, yes, I'm sorry. Actually, you look too close in a pie. Mom's pie. Mom's, apple pie. You stared too closely into it and they kind of stuck.
Mom keeps.
I thought she was the apple of somebody's eye.
Well, she is. She is. Yeah. A pair of lederhosen. With an accent. Anyway, so Teflon will evaporate into the air. And if you have a pan, right, a cookie sheet with Teflon in it, cookies, they get pretty hot in there.
Cookie.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be less than 550 degrees. It's somewhere around there. Anyway, so it evaporates and it turns into a gas in the air. Now, if you breathe in this gas, you can get what is called Teflon flu. You'll get a sudden flu.
Is this documented?
Oh yeah, it's called the Teflon flu. And
is that patented?
Pardon?
Is the flu patented?
No, but people die from it all the time. And they only know that it's a flu afterwards because they do a blood test and they find this stuff called C3.
Do I get high off of that?
No,
So,
you get sick.
Do I sue the Teflon people or the stove people?
They may have. What it is they'll sell you a cookie sheet for cleaning for your pan and stuff, and then they'll say do not heat above 500 degrees or do not set on high or some little tiny disclaimer. And the idea is everyone's supposed to kind of know this.
That's crap though, because I don't read much, but I don't read the cookie sheet. It's kind of like I tear the label off the bed too.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Also,
it's
it kills birds.
Media.
It kills birds too.
It kills birds?
Yeah, if you
the
have
liberal media kills birds?
Sure.
The liberal media kills birds.
So if you have a budgie or a parakeet or you have a canary or lovebirds or whatever in your house and you turn on your pan and you let this stuff, your birds will die. We had birds suddenly die a bunch of times. So when I was a kid, suddenly they just died.
He's not
no
Do you
reason.
then
dead.
cook them and eat them?
Huh?
Do you cook them and eat them?
Well,
They're not
I wouldn't.
dead.
But once they're dead because you killed them with Teflon, is it okay to eat them? Or will that poison you too?
I don't think so. But they're
That's a good question, actually.
they're pretty small. So
Okay.
so anyway, so this stuff breaks down into this C3 and it lives in your bloodstream. And every American citizen has C3 in their bloodstream because Teflon is it's everywhere.
So
And-
Teflon makes me crazy too?
Well, it's not Teflon. It's the non-stick coating that Teflon was originally based on. It's not just that. There are other non-stick formulations that are very much like Teflon. Yeah.
No stick! Whoopee!
Yeah, and so here's what they found. So they've been doing studies with rats, and they give them food with Teflon in them, and the rats can't learn. They'll stick two different rats in the same maze. They'll both find the treat at the center of the maze in a certain amount of time. The one rat without Teflon will find it even quicker the next time, and quicker the next time, and quicker the time after that. The Teflon one, it takes the same amount of time to find it every time. He never learns. He can't.
So
learn.
I should set the rat trap on a Teflon pan and heat it to 1,000 degrees and
Yes.
it'll kill all the rats.
No, they
That
won't
would
be able to
solve
find the
the
pan.
problem.
Oh,
They won't be able to find the pan.
that's a bad rat trap then.
Yes, very, very bad one, and you'll get the Teflon flu if you do that. So
Does that cause my eyes to fall off?
yeah, yes, it would. They would just slide right off. And what it is more and more kids have what are called learning disabilities. They can't learn.
I have a
And it has
learning
to do-
disability, I'm dumb.
Yes,
Actually,
you
neither
are.
one of you guys are dumb. You're pretty smart, actually. Surprisingly smart.
I'm smart.
I'm impressed, actually. Both of you guys.
Because I'm a blonde.
Wow. Yeah. So
Why are all dumb blonde jokes one-liners?
So I went out and I bought
Hey,
stainless steel
go to
and cast
punchline.
iron.
Why are all dumb blonde jokes one-liners? So men
Uh-huh.
can understand them.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, I know too many blonde jokes that I won't
Hey,
repeat.
point.
Okay, this one has personal interest of mine. Story problem number 70. Okay. Local public access stations are not owned, operated, or programmed by large corporate interests. They're not. Corporate America doesn't want local people speaking their mind on TV. No. So killing local public access station is easy if you have the right senators in your pocket. List the following with the true or false as to what will kill local voice. Okay, true or false, local voice. Okay. A, deregulation is now referred to as updating the telecom laws on commercials that you've probably seen. B, all the money that goes to support public voice will go to support the golden parachutes of the top 10 executives of each of the 5 media conglomerates. Yeah! C, call a thing anything else but what it is. D, finance the campaigns of critical congressmen and senators so they'll do your bidding. E, create fake community interest programming and offer these instead of real community generated programming. Okay? Yeah. So that's the plan. Okay. Okay.
Tell another one.
Okay,
No.
normally, here's another one. Normally, people with anorexia, mostly women apparently, are generally, it's been known for years and years not to give them SSRIs.
SSRIs?
Yeah, the idea is that Prozac or Paxil or Luvox or Celexa or there's a couple of new ones that don't come to mind. What they'll do is a doctor, they started giving people with anorexia and bulimia, they started giving them SSRIs, and the idea is they would stop focusing on their weight, and they would get more hungry and this sort of thing. Unfortunately, the opposite occurred, and they ate less and this sort of thing. So they did yet another study with Prozac, and women with anorexia, it was like 60 or 70 women, and they discovered it didn't help whatsoever. In fact, it made it worse. So there. However, Big Pharma keeps doing the studies in the hopes that they'll get different results, which is kind of insane.
They just
You
gotta
say
pay
lice.
somebody.
Pardon?
I see lice.
They're happy, very smart lice. They're very happy where they are, and
What else we got here?
I keep them warm with my head. Okay, this one is from the Basilon Center, and there is a report. They
Want me
put out
to
a
pick
report
them out for you?
on school children and the mental health issues. Okay, some months ago, I reported on a thing where the Bush administration had big plans for school kids and mental health. And this is kind of a formulation. This is kind of the way it's
School
looking like
kids
it's
and
going to be.
mental health.
Yeah, what they'll do is they will tier kids. They'll put them on 3 different tiers. Tier 1 is most everybody that don't necessarily need mental health
Is that like
intervention.
child and dimes and nobody left and it's the same thing, it's testing, it's drugs, it's...
Well,
What's
kind of, and I think I talked about this like 3 or 4 months ago. I've talked about it from time to time because I keep hearing stuff about it. Bush set up a commission on mental health, and this commission has come out with a report. And the idea is they want kids to be in a safe and sound learning, positive behavior support environment, PBS. Normally they hate PBS, but this PBS they like, because what happens is if any child acts out in any way, they are intervened on
Can they get punished?
with medication.
Tasered?
I think they
Possibly,
should get
yeah.
whipped.
Drugs?
Cops have tasers in school and stuff, and they will taser children, and there's problem every couple of weeks you hear about something in some state where some school cop tasered some kid for non-compliance.
Well, they should. They should not let them get away with non-compliance.
Well,
That's a
if the
double
cop
This is
negative,
fine.
right?
if the cop said "skip to my loo, my darling" to a student,
Skip
and
to the
the,
loo, my darling.
and the
Skip to the loo,
student
my darling.
refused to,
Skip to the loo.
that's exactly right, then he would be tasered.
Can I taser that sock puppet?
And
right
remarkably,
there?
it takes twice the voltage to taser. It takes twice the voltage to taser the student's mother. Angry mother. You tasered my thing. Yes, and yeah. So the way it works is most children will be on tier 1. That means they're not required to take medication. Tier 2 is for any kids that act out in any way, shape, or form. What happens to them? They are evaluated by the school nurse or some,
Who pays the school nurse?
taxpayers. Okay. Yes, taxpayers pay for all of this, by the way. school nurse evaluates them, and the principal evaluates them, and then a note is sent to the parents or the whoever, and they say your child must have a mental health exam or a mental health evaluation or a mental health something if they are to return to school.
You know, the only thing I think the pharmaceutical companies have messed up is they don't have the nurses on the dole. If they got their act together, more kids would be on drugs, it'd be okay.
Actually, I have asked different kids in school. I've asked them that we're going to school. It's like, how many kids in your class do you know of that are taking like Prozac or Paxil or Zoloft? Zoloft is really popular apparently. Zoloft or what's the one for ADHD? The Ritalin or one of these others. And every time I've asked, the standard response is half. Oh, half the kids. Oh, half of them. 1/4, you know, in my class of 25, you know, there are at least 6 or 7 or 8 taking an antidepressant, and there are at least that many, at least or more taking.
What about natural ones like St. John's wort?
No.
No money in it?
Pardon?
No money? No money in it?
Well, there's not enough. There, St. John's wort is not regulated like medications, and so every brand is going to have a little bit different formulation.
I think that's all crap.
Well,
Regulations crap?
What?
Regulations crap.
No.
What's your point?
I think that it's all a bunch of...
Hooey.
Hooey.
Hooey. It's hooey. Yeah. So a kid is intervened. He gets the note. He goes to the doctor, and if he gets a clear pass, he comes back to school with a note saying this child, he's fine. This sort of thing.
Can he get recruited for military then?
Possibly. They'll have a recruiter come in and say, you will make an awesome sharpshooter. Yeah.
Kill.
I think we should keep all the mental medications away and then give him a gun. Yes.
Yes, I think so
That's
too.
a good idea.
Yes. Okay. We have a song to sing.
Oh,
And it's sung to the tune of We Are the Champions.
I don't like
Drugs are the children. No, wait. Drug all the children again. Do. And they'll keep on fighting to the end. Do. Drug all the children. Sing with me. Drug all the children. There's no time for choosing. There's no time for musing. Dun 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 dun. Drugs are our friends.
This is bad.
Yes. Okay. So
Let's
wasn't that
sing
fun?
some more.
No.
I don't have any more
I'll
lyrics.
pick a topic.
I ran out of lyrics. Okay. So tier 2 kids, possibly medicated. Tier 3 kids, they are not allowed to attend school without being medicated. And the idea is, as soon as a kid acts out, as soon as they distract other children, as soon as they're talking out of turn, as soon as they're doing anything that is considered by the parents or by the teachers
Just
or by the
cane
school,
them.
anything that is
The old-fashioned way.
anything that is unruly, if they're
There's not a lot of money in caning.
no.
What about the cane manufacturers?
Oh,
Well, yeah, there'd be a little money for them.
okay.
So, yeah, but they're very popular in S&M lounges, and they are not needed in schools. So anyway, sorry, crunch, our poor neighbor downstairs. Anyway, let's see. So Basilon Center has been very, very happy about this Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 thing, and it's a model that the federal system will adopt at some point. And the idea is everyone will be given a tier level, and if you misbehave, you'll go to the next tier, and you may or may not be medicated, and if you misbehave again, you'll automatically go to the 3rd tier, and you must be medicated. And the public will probably pay for it if the parents can't afford the medication.
Will the medications cause brain damage?
In children, they permanently alter the brain character and the brain function. For instance, an SSRI is a SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. That means let's say you're a brain cell, you're an axon, and you're a dendrite. Okay, And what happens is serotonin passes between you when you do a communication. Okay. What happens?
It's like mental empathy.
What happens is the
Is it
drug,
like us
the
puking on each
SSRI, latches onto here. Here, eat this cookie.
Okay.
There we go. Latches onto here so that the serotonin, you got to be right here. The serotonin can't pass in between. It lands and then it comes off, and then it lands again and lands again and lands again. So what it does is it frees up all this serotonin to float around the brain and constantly float around. And so what happens is the brain of a young person adapts to that medication, and it creates more dendrites and more axons to pass serotonin around. And so what will happen is they'll grow up needing to have this medication, and they'll be needing an SSRI, because without it, they are screwed up.
What's an SSRI?
Supplemental selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors.
Does it make you puke?
No, it gives you the willies, and you can be depressed and have lots of energy, and you get weird muscle things going on, and you get it affects your sexual function.
So it's not
both men
that
and
bad.
women. Sure.
Do sock puppets have sexual function?
They could.
I hope not.
Yes, that would be very very
I guess I could blow.
that yes, you could. But that's for the mental, no, that's for the sexual health news hour. And we'll discuss everything everything that you can do with a sock puppet that feels good.
We better get back to the report now.
Yes.
This is not good. This is not good.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to understand that as long as I am president, we will be at war with the enemies of who I say our enemies are. They may be terrorists, and they may be those mythical Islamo-fascists, which don't really exist, but because I use the expression, it must mean something. That's right, and remember, the business is good for war, and war is good for business, and I like mixing up the two like a great big yummy Texas size soup. A soup filled with yummy delicious money and jewels and thickened with oil and a little bit of beer on the side. I like that beer. Beer's good. Beer is good for the Constitution. I know I'm not, but beer is. And just remember, if you're not for me, you're for the terrorists, the axis of evil, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm almost out of time, and I'm going to go through this very quickly. Okay, this is about some guy, and this one is very quick. There's a guy named Jordan Knott, and this one was from the Washington Post, and it was a thing in the Bazelon Center and a couple other things. Report on this. He was a straight-A sophomore student at George Washington University. In 2004, when he became depressed after a close friend committed suicide, he sought emergency psychiatric care and went to the University Counseling Center, which prescribed antidepressants.
Oh,
So,
he just wanted attention.
well, just you wait. He felt worse on the meds, surprisingly, or not, and admitted himself to the university hospital. Within hours, we're not sure how many, Knott, the guy, got a letter denying access to his dorm without clearance from the University Counseling Center and his dorm administration.
What?
So they found out he was depressed when he admitted himself to the
Fuck
hospital.
police.
That's right. And they said, you can't come out without some sort of a clearance.
Drugs.
You can't come back to the school. The next day, while still in the hospital, another letter came charging him with endangering behavior in violation of the school's code of conduct. The conservative school overlords then charged him with violating the school code of conduct, suspended him, evicted him from his dorm, and threatened him with arrest for trespassing if he set foot from the university property, even while he was still in the hospital. He was given the option of attending a hearing before the judicial board, but a guilty verdict would mean suspension. Thank you. Suspension or expulsion. Or if he could seek readmission upon proof that he had successfully completed don't knock my water over please, medical treatment, had been symptom-free for 6 months, and could live independently and perform successfully, blah, 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 blah. Since when does being sick constitute a disciplinary problem? Okay, this is the question.
What kind of sickness?
Okay.
Head case?
Mental health sickness.
Flu?
If you're mentally ill. When is that a disciplinary problem?
You're upside down.
Okay.
Rotate, baby!
Okay. What happens?
Get away!
What happens
Your
when
belly up!
There's something wrong with me.
you're all upside downy? What happens when students fear reprisal for seeking mental health services? What happens?
We get reported.
That's right.
What's reprisal?
No, we have fear. Wait a minute, I'm not paying attention.
Okay, what I want to know, what
Because
happened
you're
to the
a sock
mental health
puppet.
confidentiality? When did the school administrators have when were they privy to his medical records and his psychiatric medical records?
When
What
they
are
can make money off it.
Yeah, and they would have to know enough to be able to suspend him from school. So, whatever happened to HIPAA? Whatever happened to mental health confidentiality?
Terrorists, that's what happened to HIPAA.
So the Bazelon Center is representing him in a claim against the school.
Who's representing?
And I don't have time to read this, and that's something I'll just keep for later. So, yeah. And I have like 3 more minutes, so.
What should we talk about?
Well.
Want to talk about...
So the question is, well, do you have any questions? Do you have any mental health questions? The crumbs are making my arm itch, so that's why I'm being, all anal about that, or armal, as the case may be.
So my question is, if I really need certain drugs, I'm probably not necessarily the mental frame necessary to go and investigate whether or not these drugs were appropriately checked through the FDA, yada yada yada.
For the most part,
Yeah.
there is enough of a process that the medications, if they're killing a lot of people, they don't pass. And
So you're
they get
saying it's
rejected.
kind of safe?
More often than
Can I
not.
be a part of that?
If you want to receive drug testing, you can. The
How much does it
University
cost?
of Washington is number 3 on the drug testing list. What they do is they're constantly offering drug trial tests for people. You can go there and you can be on a drug trial for an antidepressant or
What about
antidiabetic.
LSD?
You would have had to have lived in the 60s
Oh.
because they totally tested students on LSD, like a lot.
Did I live in the 60s?
You smell like you lived in
No,
the
I don't think you
60s.
did. Wait, when were you born?
Oh.
Were you
Oh.
born in 1960? Were you born after 1965?
You don't know when you were born.
I'm so sorry. Actually, the sock puppet was born about 3
Wasn't
years
I
ago.
socked first?
Well, no. Your soul, that skin-colored thing with, the moving parts, that's your soul.
Huh?
So you have a soul. Sock puppets do have a soul. They have a palm and a soul, which is kind of, you know how that works, right?
Ooh, a palm.
And that was
What
born
about the
several
fingernails?
years ago. That would be the soul that is sloughed off from time to time. That would be a sharp, pointy parts of the soul. Yes, the sock soul. The soul of the sock. See? Yeah. So yeah. So anyway, so what was the question?
When was I born?
Whether or not
I
drugs were
don't
safe.
know.
Whether or not
Okay.
I should go out and just like...
For the most part, they are. For the most part, they are. And people will say, "Oh, Dan, you don't like drugs. You tell people not
Do
to
you
take
still
medications." That's
like
not true.
me?
If a medication works for you, take it.
How do you know it works?
Well, you feel better, or your symptoms are relieved.
And if they're
or-
not?
Well, then that means the drug isn't doing what it's supposed to, and it's time to try a new one. And you need to talk to your doctor in order to do that. You shouldn't just stop taking your medication because there are, bad things might happen.
That would be
Like
nice, but
the
so many of us
police-
can't afford a doctor, yada yada.
That's
yada,
right.
yada.
That's right. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. And the pharmaceutical company needs to, start paying doctors to take, to bring people in and this sort of thing. Medicaid, something like 40% of Medicaid budget, the money that goes to Medicaid pays for meds. Doesn't pay for, much anything else. It's just paid, and maybe 60%. It's way up there.
But
So
at
if
least
drugs
we're
were-
not.
So Medicaid money goes to pharmaceutical companies.
But
Okay.
at least we're not
Taxes go to pay
communists.
big pharma. Thank you. What?
At least we're not communists.
No, we're leaning
I'd rather
more.
be a socialist.
Our
Ooh, that's terrorist.
socialists.
How's their medicine?
Socialism isn't very bad.
What about their medicine?
Well, what
Those
that
are
means,
those sweet
our
and
country
What
is
about them
leaning more towards
Canadians?
fascism. Actually,
What are those Canadians? They have
Canadians have
medicines, right?
socialized medicine, and
Okay.
their people are taken care of, and the lines that they wait in are a little bit longer, and they don't have the latest and greatest equipment. It takes a year for them to get the next upgrade in equipment. Whereas in America, all the hospitals compete with each other. You know, this care center competes with that care center, and so they spend huge amounts of money on the latest. and
Okay,
greatest
so they
equipment.
wait in long lines.
In Canada, this university hospital will specialize in heart treatment. This specialized hospital will specialize in back surgery treatment, and this specialized. And so what it is, if you need a specialized surgery, you will go to a different city, and part of your expenses are paid for in getting there.
But what about the longer lines in the emergency rooms? That's us, right?
Yeah, so really, is there much improvement? But I'm out of time. So,
Goodbye!
so thank you for coming to the show. Thank you for sitting there and watching and paying attention to crap.
Because
And
we don't pay attention to crap.
thank you. Thank
Bye.
you. Okay, see you later. Bye.